Krishna Guna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopisha Gokapika Kamasta Karvara Kantana Mustate Taptananchana Varangi Radhe Brindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Panchagopti Kripitya Titanam Bhamanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Rayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Sarastim Vyasam Tato Jayamadhirayet Nasreshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhakadvituma Shloke Bhakti Bhavati Naishtaki. Reading from the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 9, answers by citing the Lord's version, text number 19. Tam Priyamananam Samupastitam Kavim Praja Visarge Nija Sasanarhanam Babasa Isat Smita Sochisa Gira Priya Priyam Pita Mana Kare Spirisan Tam Priyamanam Samupastitam Kavim Prajavisarge Nijasasra Sanarhanam Babasa Isat Smita Sochisa Gira Priyam Prita Mana Kare Sprisan Tam Priyamanam Samupastitam Kavim Prajavisarge Nijasas Naharhanam Babasa Isat Smita Sochisa Gira Priyam Prita Mana Kare Spisan. 19.
2:9:19. Tam Priyamanam Samupashtitam Kavim Praja Visarge Nija Shasa Narhanam Bhasha Isha Smita Shotishagira
Babasa Isat Smita Sochisagira
Priya Priyam Pritamana
Priyam Prita Manakare Spishan. Tam unto Lord Brahma, Priyamananam, worthy of being dear, Samupastitam, present before, Kavim, the great scholar, Praja, living entities, Visarge, in the matter of creation, Nija, his own, Sasana, control, Arhanam, just suitable, Babase, addressed, Isat, smiled, Smita, smiling, Sochisa, with enlightening, Gira, words, Priya, the beloved, Priyam, the counterpart of love, Prita Mana, being very much pleased. Kare, by the hand. Sprishan, shaking. Translation. After seeing Brahma present before him, the Lord accepted him as worthy to create living beings, to be controlled as he desired. And thus, being much satisfied with him, the Lord shook hands with Brahma and, slightly smiling, addressed him thus. Please repeat. After seeing Brahma present before him, you got to make a noise, not the bar.
After seeing the Brahma present before him,
The Lord accepted him as worthy to create living beings, to be controlled as he desired. And thus, being much satisfied with him, the Lord shook hands with Brahma and, slightly smiling, addressed him thus. Purport. The creation of the material world is not blind or accidental. The living entities were ever conditioned or nityabhata, are thus given a chance for liberation under the guidance of his own representative, like Brahma. The Lord instructs Brahma in Vedic knowledge in order to diffuse this knowledge to the conditioned souls. The conditioned souls are forgetful souls in their relationship with the Lord, and thus a period of creation and the process of dissemination of Vedic knowledge are necessary activities of the Lord. Lord Brahma has a great responsibility in delivering the conditioned souls, and therefore he is very dear to the Lord. Brahma also does his duty very perfectly, not only by generating the living entities, but also by spreading his party for reclaiming the fallen souls. The party is called the Brahma Sampradaya, and any member of this party to date is naturally engaged in reclaiming the fallen souls back to Godhead, back home. The Lord is very much anxious to get back his parts and parcels. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita, no one is more dear than one who takes the task of reclaiming the fallen souls back to Godhead. There are many renegades from the Brahma Sampradaya whose only business is to make men more forgetful of the Lord and thus entangle them more and more in material existence. Such persons are never dear to the Lord, and the Lord sends them deeper into the darkest region of matter so that such envious demons may not be able to know the Supreme Lord. Anyone, however, preaching the mission of the Lord in the line of the Brahma Sampradaya is always dear to the Lord, and the Lord, being satisfied with such a preacher of the authorized bhakti cult, shakes hands with him in great satisfaction. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Pastaya Bhutale Śrīmate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namane Namaste Sarasvati Deve Gauravani Pacharane Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paskita Deshatarane Tam Priyamanam Samupastitam Kavim Prajafi Sarge Nija Sasra Narhanam Babasa Isat Smita Sochi Sagira Priya Priyam Prita Mana Kare Sprasan. After seeing Brahma present before him, the Lord accepted him as worthy to create living beings, to be controlled as he desired, and thus being much satisfied with him, the Lord shook hands with Brahma and, slightly smiling, addressed him thus. So here is the perfection of Lord Brahma's penance and austerity. He's meeting the Supreme Lord and actually being addressed by the Lord. And actually, Lord Brahma has a chance to reply. So they're actually going to have a conversation. So it's interesting to note, after seeing Brahma present before him, the Lord accepted him as worthy to create living beings. That he just didn't get to have the audience of the Lord without any he's not coming empty-handed. It's like described that if you come to the temple, you must bring a presentation. Patram pushpam palam talam. Bring a leaf, a fruit, a flower. And you see in India or amongst Indians who are from India, and Indians are from India, and that they come and they bring something. They'll put some fruit and bring some flour, bring some rice, bring vegetables, or even if nothing is there, then bring money and put donation in the box. In other words, you can't come before the Lord, or you can't come before a representative of the Lord unless you're coming for the purpose of rendering service. We are not on an equal platform with the Lord, and in this material world, we're not on the equal platform with the pure devotees. That's described in the purport. The conditioned souls are forgetful souls. So, Lord Brahma, not only did he come with the right attitude, what's the proof of your love? The feelings I have in my heart. Hokum bunkum and fiddle-dee-dee, I say. The proof of the love in your heart is that you've rendered time-tested service. Not that, I just did a little bit, but I'm not, my ulterior motives have not been purified. So he's present before him, proper, and the Lord sees him as worthy to create living beings, to perform this primary devotional service, as he's the first living entity in this universe, to create the different bodies and species of life for which the conditioned souls can get the fruit of their karma and also fulfill their desires based on forgetfulness of the Lord and their spiritual identity, their Svarupa, their actual real body, Sva-own, real eternal form, and more or less try to imitate Krishna as the enjoyer, as the controller, as the proprietor in one of the 8,400,000 species of life. Forgetful souls in their relationship with the Lord, and thus a period of creation and the process of dissemination of Vedic knowledge are necessary activities of the Lord. So, along with reluctantly or regretfully, Prabhupada would give the example that the government doesn't want to make a prison department, but they know that they have to. Of course, if you're in Kali Yuga and the prison is in cahoots with the government and the pharmaceuticals and the Rockefeller drug companies, you make, terrible drug laws for smoking marijuana, in the 1960s, and each prisoner, the government can make so much money, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So that's, of course, Kali Yuga, or the demons, the way they do things. But one time Prabhupada was being asked, why did Krishna create a material world? All this stuff is in. Krishna didn't create, you created, because you wanted it. So, just like in a good, call it Department of Correction, reformatory, they're trying to teach the prisoners good lessons, how to be good citizens again. So that is the dissemination of the Vedic knowledge, which in this material world is the only light that can be perceived. Light means to know reality, who I am, where I came from, why I'm here, what I should be doing while I'm here, what is the destination most desired to achieve after leaving here, and first knowing that you do have to leave here. What is the most wonderful thing? That everyone is dying and going to the court of Yamaraj, but everyone else is thinking, each one individually thinking, oh, that's just for the other guy. I'll somehow be the exception. Death is imposed on everyone, for sure. You know, they're making all these medical statistics. If, you know, this group of people, this, that, the other thing, this percentage, but the death rate has always been, is at the current time, and will always be 100%. So the dissemination of Vedic knowledge are necessary activities of the Lord. So Lord Brahma has a great responsibility in delivering the conditioned souls. So here we see that Lord Brahma, who is the most intelligent and has arguably, not so much arguably, but evidently, the most important responsibility of creating the different species, like the planetary systems and so many things. More of that will be described in the third canto of Lord Brahma's creation. But practically speaking, his position as the disseminator of his sampradaya, his chain of disciplic succession, and the corresponding corollary Vedic literatures that disciplic succession writes and disseminates, is a greater responsibility, inasmuch as kind of like a secret agent, he has like a job which seems to make him seem like a normal person taking part in that society, but the actual reason why he's there is to give confidential intelligence and information to those who actually disposed him there in the first place for their benefit. You know, of course, we could think of, it's based on politics, but again, like a secret agent, he's doing something, at least like in the mind of America. If we were in Russia, it would be the opposite, and we send an agent into the communist bloc and we try to understand what they're doing so that we can safeguard democracy and those who live in the land of the free and the brave. So whatever we do is justified. So just as those who are against democracy are a threat to democracy, so those who are atheistic and envious, and it's described, they cast them deeper into the darkest region of matter. So there's the Bhagavad Gita, those envious and mischievous I cast into, how is it exactly said? Those are envious and mischievous. And also in the Ishopanishad, what is that verse?
Darkest regions.
Worst still are those who are the worshippers of the impersonal absolute. So the preacher, he's coming from light, folly to be wise where ignorance is bliss. Hardly one man in 1,000 realizes this. So the preacher's task is thankless because people aren't ready to receive the message. And in many cases, he's criticized, ostracized, persecuted, or even killed, as in the case of Lord Jesus Christ. So preaching is a very can be done only by the most intelligent. Brahma also does his duty very perfectly, let's see, not only by generating living entities. It's like, Clark Kent, he works for the Daily Planet newspaper, but who is he really, which is more important? Superman! And at the right time, he ducks into the phone booth and takes off his nerdy Clark Kent glasses, and he puts on his Superman cape and immediately has superhuman, look, up in the sky, it's a bird, it's a plane, no, it's Superman. So that is the devotee. He now those who actually maintain honestly the renounced order of life, they can be Superman all the time. The Grihastha ashram is likened unto you're working in secular society, and we don't want to be fanatics. We want to just kind of seem like normal people. That's kind of our idea. That's our preaching. Krishna consciousness is accessible. We're not just like way out. The way outs. New rock band. We're way out. But the preacher, he's always representing the highest ultimate truth and platform of detachment and renunciation from that which is material. At least that's the facility. That's why the brahmachari who becomes an adept, he's no need for him to take to the grihastha ashram because he's already conquered material desires, and he can factually, if not formally, but actually wholesomely and internally embrace the renounced order of life. Where, what does Prabhupada say? That the sannyasis are held in high regard due to their practical level of renunciation. But something which is practical on that high level of spiritual attainment is not a externally perceivable thing, or that which is externally perceivable must be based on the internal attainment. So he does his duty of the material duty perfectly, but also he spreads his party for reclaiming the fallen souls. Now this is interesting. We would hear Srila Prabhupada say that actually my spiritual master has sent all of you. You were all directed to come and take birth here, and I would come and we would all meet together and you would assist me. So Lord Brahma, more important for us that he is the guna avatar of the mode of passion, or he's the first living entity in this universe, is that he is the chief of our sampradaya. The only higher spiritual master in the hierarchy of the Brahma Madhava Gaudiya Rupanuga Sampradaya is Krishna himself, who's actually the original spiritual master of all spiritual masters. So, so Lord Brahma, here he's spreading his party, spreading from the point of view of such an intelligent, supremely intelligent person, just like the head of a company, CEO, he'll spread his, they're always having board meetings, how is our Louisville, Kentucky chapter doing? How is this chapter? Or, just like Bank of America just decided, somehow they acquired this, platform right there at the corner of Flatbush and Fulton, and which I haven't been in there yet, but it's like closer than the one on Flatbush and 4th Avenue. But they thought, oh, this is a good location, you know. So if a bank or a company can be so powerful and so thoughtful, you know, what are the demographics of a place and, you know, foot traffic and how much will it cost to rent it when we make a profit. So what to speak of Lord Brahma designating pious souls and actual devotees to appear and maintain the flow of his sampradaya through time and over generations. So he does that very perfectly. Not only if he does the creating the species of life perfectly, very perfectly, also by spreading his party. How more perfect or how much more into that would Lord Brahma be? How much more is Clark Kent into being Superman than he is to being Clark Kent, some dull, nerdy, Poindexterous, like, you know, boring guy, which is his cover for being Superman. The party is called the Brahma Sampradaya. So it's interesting. Party has two definitions, I'm thinking. Party, the Democratic Party, the Republican Party, the group. But party, we're going to have a good time, like that. So if you put the two together, that's very good. Lord Chaitanya's movement is simply joyful, simply singing and dancing and accepting prasad. Who will refuse to take part in a function where singing, dancing, and refreshment are administered? Everyone will feel the good effects. And any member of this party to date is naturally engaged in reclaiming the fallen souls back to Godhead, back to home. Come on, let's go, let's party, man. You can be in the party too. The Lord is very much anxious to get back his parts and parcels. The Lord is the ultimate party giver, party maker, and everything about the Lord's personal pastimes is simply based on having a party. Simply enjoyment. Krishna is not like Atlas at 51st Street, lifting the huge earth on his planets. He's not, building and attempting and, Rockefeller Center, sledgehammers, and give me a part. I want a society of workers. I don't want any thinkers, J.D. Rockefeller said 112 years ago, or, Rockefeller Center. No, Krishna doesn't have anything to do. The pure devotees don't have anything to do. The only thing that they're doing, which they love to do, is to please each other. Service and reciprocation, blessing, benediction. Service and benediction. So the Lord is very anxious to get his fallen souls, forgetful souls, parts and parcels back home, back to Godhead. The Lord is very much anxious to get them back, as stated in the Bhagavad Gita. No one is more dear than one who takes the task of reclaiming the fallen souls back to Godhead. So this material world is a place of hard struggle, grappling, work. One has to work for his upkeep of his material body. We were looking the other day at the word task and all the different words. It means work. So instead of working for nothing in this material world, what is it? Hard labor for nothing, maintaining a band of relatives that's sure to be vanquished in the air of oblivion. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. From dust thou art, from dust thou came, till dust thou will go, something like that. But you work to reclaim the fallen souls back home, back to Godhead. That is real work. The word kriyasu, by manual labor, or work in this connection is most significant. In our Krishna consciousness movement, all our activities are centered around distributing Krishna literature. One can approach any man and induce him to take and read Krishna literature so that he can become a devotee one day. Such activities will always remind the devotee of the Lord's lotus feet. And because this material world is a junction point, some are going this way, some are going that way, and the dividing line between the two directions on the highway is not like an infallible guardrail, so they rub up against each other, sometimes with very serious head-on collisions. There are many renegades from the Brahma Sampradaya. Now this is interesting. You would think that you would have to, there's some formal joining of the Brahma Sampradaya and be actual in right mind and in right cooperative, harmonious mood. But here it's renegades. That means everyone in this material world, in the ultimate sense, is a member of the Brahma Sampradaya. What is it? Some accept him and some do not, but those who don't accept, they'll be ruined by their sinful activities. It's describing either Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda in the CC. Prabhupada said, everyone is my disciple. Here's an amazing statement that Prabhupada wrote in a letter to a disciple. I will always be, it's a conversation, in Hawaii, 1975. I will always be the spiritual master for the entire Krishna consciousness movement. For anyone in this age, Kali Yuga, willing to follow the principles I have given for the benefit of everyone. So although a physical body is not present, the vibration should be accepted as the presence of the spiritual master vibration. What we have heard from the spiritual master, that is living. So that was from January 1969. So there are many renegades from the Brahma Sampradaya whose only business is to make men more forgetful of the Lord and thus entangle them more and more in material existence. All this bogus philosophy, all of this... just whatever it is, you should get into this, get into that, or this politics, or this idea of science, or whatever it is. If it takes people away from understanding their eternal loving relationship with Krishna, understanding Sambandha, Abhidheya, and Prayoja, then it is simply violence. What is the definition of violence there in the Bhagavad Gita? It means to impede the spiritual progress of another living entity. Such persons are never dear to the Lord, and the Lord sends them deeper and deeper into the darkest region of matter, so that such envious persons may not be able to know the Supreme Lord, which is what they want. Anyone, however, preaching the mission of the Lord in the line of the Brahma Sampradaya is always dear to the Lord, and the Lord, being satisfied with such a preacher of the authorized bhakti cult, shakes hands with him in great satisfaction. So in the Preaching of the Essence book, quotes of a similar nature are all put together. So this very 2919 is included in the overall chapter called One Who Preaches Krishna Consciousness is Dear to Lord Krishna and is Protected by the Lord. Here's a couple of samples of similar. CC Madhya Lila chapter 7. That's the Lord's tour of South India, verse 153. Everyone should engage in preaching, following in the footsteps of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In this way, one will be very much appreciated by Lord Krishna and will be quickly recognized by him. The glories of Haridas Thakur, Antya Lila chapter 3, verse 52. One who preaches to try to relieve Lord Chaitanya of his anxiety
for the fallen souls is most dear to the Lord. Oh, my dear Haridas, I don't see how all these yavanas and malechas can be delivered. To my great anxiety, I do not know how. Oh, my Lord, do not be in anxiety. And the answer is, how? The very quiet? No, the loud chanting of the holy names will wake all the souls up and deliver them back to Godhead. Everyone should adopt the cause of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to try. Success or failure has no meaning for the devotee. He is a soldier in the field. Just the attempt is success. Try to relieve him from the anxiety he feels. This is actually service to the Lord. One who tries to relieve Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's anxiety for the fallen souls is certainly a most dear and confidential devotee of the Lord. And finally, here in Narada Muni's instructions to Maharaj Yudhishthir, 7th canto, 14th chapter, this is in regards to the Brahmins, verse 42. Brahmin preachers of Krishna consciousness are worshipable even by Krishna. As admitted by Lord Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita 1869, Nachitasman Manusheshu Kastan Me Priyakritama. The Brahmins preach the cult of Krishna consciousness all over the world, and therefore, although they worship Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Lord, also recognizes them as worshipable. The relationship is reciprocal. When Narada Muni was going to the 16,108 palaces of Lord Krishna, in many of the places, some of the places he would secretly watch, but if he was actually coming and Krishna knows, he'd give him a royal reception, seat him on his own throne, and have same thing happen with Sudam Brahman. Rukmini, the goddess of fortune herself, is assisting the Lord and giving him a worshipful welcome, even bathing his feet. The Brahmins preach the cult of Krishna consciousness all over the world, and therefore, although they worship Krishna, the Lord also recognizes them as worshipful. The relationship is reciprocal. The Brahmins want to worship Krishna, and similarly, Krishna wants to worship the Brahmins. Well, a verse was skipped, so I think we'll leave it to...
I can read all it.
It's a great verse. The beautiful personality of Godhead addressed Lord Brahma, O Brahma, impregnated with the Vedas. I am very much pleased with your long accumulated penance with the desire for Krishna. Long accumulated. Not just wham, bam, and presto, and where's my prema bhakti, I put $1 in the chute, and where's my Cracker Jack container, Long accumulated penance with the desire for creation. Hardly am I pleased with the pseudo-mystics. Rowing along the wind. What is the nature of a potato? They're simply, they pose themselves as devotees, but they're simply opportunists looking for their own sense gratification, ulterior motives. Those who do not use Vedic knowledge for the proper purposes are kuto yogis or pseudo-transcendentalists who spoil their lives with ulterior motives. All right. Anyway, that's just a little taste of tomorrow's verse. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. What?
How do we avoid ulterior motives?
By cultivating proper motives. You know what a proper motive is. Here we just heard, the Lord is in anxiety for the fallen conditioned souls. Try to relieve the Lord's anxiety. That's a proper motivation.
We want our own pleasure or our own prestige, or everyone
That's not very good.
How do you destroy that?
By trying to get prestige for the Lord and for the Lord's method of devotional service.
Okay. You answered all my questions, I think.
Thank you very much. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki jai. Shri Radha Govinda.